Welcome back to the Authentic Human Podcast. I'm Michelle Vickers, and this is part 73 of the story of creation. So today we have, let's see, we have some angelics, but we also have a lot of universal beings. And when I say more generally universal beings without having specific names or designations, it's more, we're going on an exploration of the vastness of existence today. And so these are the beings who recognize that, they hold space for that. And so we're going to explore with them and have fun. So let's see. The first thing that they want to talk about today is the planet. And they're showing me the globe, like the Earth, in a complete structure, but they're showing me the Earth inside the vastness of the universe. And so, okay, so they're saying we're going to talk about relativity. I don't even really know what that means, so you're going to have to bear with me here. I mean, I have a concept, but not an understanding. I guess that's why we're doing this. There we go. So what they want to explore is the concept of how existence, everything in existence relates to everything else in existence. And so yesterday we talked a lot about origins, like understanding and recognizing the true essence of who you are. And today we're going into understanding how that vibration speaks to everything else, right? So we're going into the next level and the next aspects of that. And so it's about understanding, right? We first have to recognize the foundation, the fullness of who we came here to be, right? That's the understanding of your soul, but it's also recognition of who you were created to be, okay? And so what happens is when you come into life in this state of full consciousness where no one and nothing can impact you, right? It's not, they can't change your course. You're the only one who can change your course, is really, what that means. But it's understanding that it's our relationship to everything else that allows us to learn what we need to learn so that we can change our course to suit ourselves. And this is the key component that most people miss, okay? Is we often are changing our course to please others. And what ends up happening is we become drained, we become exhausted, we become resentful. And that's the space where we perpetuate judgment. Okay. So when you find yourself fallen into the trap of judging others regularly, okay, what they're saying is you're exhausted. You've exhausted your efforts in every way, and you don't have anything left to give. And that's when the judgment comes out of you. Okay. And so what they want you to start to look at and understand is that's not how humans were created. Okay. We weren't created to run around doing a whole bunch of things to please other people. And yet, this is the basis of human existence right now. It's a consistent to-do list of pleasing other people. Why do you do what you do? Why do you wear what you wear? Why do you do your hair the way you do? Why do you do anything? And it's coming back to this place where your recognition of self is pure. So ultimately, that's purity is the goal, right? It is the goal because it's one of the 9 fundamental aspects of existence. But in relativity, we find the answers that we're looking for. Your soul is the foundation of your existence. Your only mission in this life is to fulfill your soul. Just feel that for a minute. Your only mission in this life is to fulfill your soul. So your to-do list should be fulfill my soul. That's it. That's it. Now, here's the thing. When you fulfill your soul, there are things that you're going to need to do. But it's not because it's a to-do list for performing for other people. It's understanding that you're doing these things to enrich your own experience of life. That's it. And so when the resentment comes up, it's because you've decided to put a whole bunch of things on your to-do list that do not enhance and enrich your life. You're never going to get to fulfillment. And that's why you're so angry, frustrated, and resentful. It's also why you carry shame and guilt. It's funny, it's like they're showing me, it's like a double-edged sword. And that double-edged sword exists only because you have a whole bunch of rules in your head that tell you who you think you need to be, how you think what you need to do to be successful in this life. And it's time to let all of that go, because your success is directly linked to your fulfillment, period. And if you're not feeding your own fulfillment, you will never be successful. So all these people, who make lots of money, or they seem to have the best relationship, or whatever it is, okay? If they have not worked towards fulfilling themselves, they're not successful. And they'll tell you that, right? How many millionaires and billionaires, get to the end of their life, and the only thing they say that was missing is the relationships for them. So they missed out. They weren't successful. They made lots of money, but they weren't successful. Success is understanding that you're driven to fulfillment. Fulfillment is understanding, who you are, okay? It's complete self-awareness. Understanding 100% who you are, what makes you happy, and then taking the actions to continue to explore that. That's it. Because those things that make you happy, right? That make you curious, that intrigue you to try things that nobody else wants to do, that everybody else, some people will be like, oh, that sounds really cool. Other people will be like, oh, that's crazy. Why would you even want to do that? The reality is you want to do it because you're curious about it. It makes you happy, right? It's like the person who mountain bikes on the top of the highest peaks, literally in mountains, and the other person who's like, yeah, I'm just going to walk. It doesn't matter what you do. And it's not about comparing who is better and who is not. You're contributing to evolution when you participate in your own fulfillment. If you aren't participating in your fulfillment, you're not participating in evolution. You're just here going through the motions. And that's exactly what it feels like. That's why there's no fulfillment. That's why there's a big part of you that feels like it's missing, because it is. You're not fulfilling your mission here on earth. It's not a complicated mission, but you've been strategically taught that there's all kinds of things you need to do, right? You need to go to school. You need to send your kids to school. That's not right. We're not meant to learn in school. Why? Because humans learn through experience. We don't learn through sitting in a class, teaching, reading books from a one human. It doesn't work that way. But manipulation and brainwashing works that way, right? So it's understanding that all of these dynamics are strategically, they've been crafted, right? So it's not created because they're not universal, but they're crafted and they're strategically aligned to ensure that you become addicted to the to-do list of pleasing other people. right? What's the first thing you learn in school? To put your hand up. Don't speak out of turn. When you are out in the world with other humans, you learn how to have respectful conversations. Do you need to put your hand up? Nope. Little things, but they teach you to fall in line, to be good little citizens. And the reality is, that's not what we're here to do. We're here to explore our potential. Okay. And you exploring your potential isn't going to hurt anybody else. And you need to get over that belief. You need to get over the belief of holding guilt or shame because you're not going to be there for everybody else in the way they've decided you need to be there for them. Because remember, they've decided all those ways based on a system that doesn't want you to fulfill who you are. It doesn't want you to experience fulfillment. It certainly doesn't want you to participate in evolution because they want to control everything. And they're doing a mighty fine job, right? We're 50,000 years in, and still humanity's like, yeah, I'd rather feel guilt and shame than be able to be comfortable, relaxed, be myself, and experience that true fulfillment, right? That's that peace. That's that serenity, but it's also the greatest joy, right? And it doesn't mean that it's calm and you're not doing anything. It means you feel that in the thrill of everything. You know, it's like race car drivers, you know, when they say, they're like, they get to those high speeds and they fall into the zone. And to them, it doesn't feel like they're going that they're going at these high speeds at all. They're just so calm and so relaxed. That's the feeling. That's the fulfillment feeling. They're doing it, right? Anyone who does something that they love, right? When all of a sudden the world disappears and it's just you doing this thing, that's fulfillment. That's it. It doesn't need to be something that anybody else likes or even thinks about. It's about you recognizing your need to fulfill yourself. It's like a thirst that needs to be quenched, and you're the only one who can do it. And if you're waiting for someone else to give you the green light, to give you the go ahead, you need to stop waiting. You need to understand that it's in that relationship, that dynamic that you have with yourself, that you've decided, no, fulfillment is not important enough for me. I'm going to stay here and please these other people because letting them down is going to make sure I carry too much guilt. Here's the thing. Just imagine for a moment, okay, your childhood and what it would have been like with two parents who completely and utterly were filled with joy all the time because they were fulfilling who they are. And in being those people, they gave you a sense of self. You allowed yourself to naturally learn self-respect, self-worth, purity, joy, truth. You never feared truth because you talked about truth all the time as though it's a normal aspect of existence, because it is. And in that, they allowed you to explore your potential. They never said no. They were excited about everything you were interested in, everything you wanted to do in your heart that you knew you were meant to do. They 100% stood behind you. Would you be a different person than you are today? Probably. But here's the thing. You have the opportunity to change that for generations to come. It's time we break the cycle. It's time we leave the shame and the guilt and the fear of not performing for others behind, because that is not why you're here. You're here to enhance the rest of the world. You're here to explore your potential so that all of humanity can learn from you. Not because you're out there teaching it to anyone else, but because you're out there being it and doing it. And those who are meant to learn from you are going to be in your space. They're going to look for you. They're going to search out for you, and they will find you because you are meant to share your wisdom with them, because they are meant to just suck it up and then take it and build on it in their own way, in their magic. That's how humanity is meant to be. We're meant to all be in the fullness of self. It's not a competition. It's understanding that we all enhance each other's experiences because we have something different to include and take it and morph. Every teacher I've ever had in my 51 years of life has taught me who to be. They've taught me not because they tell me what to do, but because I know how I feel when I'm with them. And that has allowed me to bring pieces of certain relationships and to release other pieces because they're not of interest to me. And they've combined, right? All of those experiences, the mentors that I had when I first started communicating with universal beings, I didn't know how to do it, right? I was doing it as a child, but I didn't know how to do it professionally. And I thought it had to be super dramatic. Again, I thought I had to perform for other people. So I would literally be, on a massage table covered in blankets, a eye pillow over my eyes, so dramatic because I thought that's how you had to do it. Otherwise, people wouldn't respect you. Turns out I can do it chopping vegetables in my kitchen, driving down the 401, because that's how I was created to be. And I had mentors that pushed me to see that. And then I had to keep going and I had to explore the universe. Your job is to explore you, who you are. I could do this 24 hours a day and never be bored. Never be bored. Why? Because it's who I am and it is what I am meant to be doing. And don't worry so much about what you're meant to be doing and how can you make that look like a job, because it's not supposed to look that way. Your mission, your fulfillment will offer you everything you need. Why? Because the universe only works in abundance. But we're so scared of letting other people down and not having enough money that we can't make room to let abundance in. Relativity is understanding that your basic primal instincts will deliver every single aspect of existence to ensure fulfillment for you. Everything you need will come as long as you allow it to come in. And that's your mission right now, is allowing yourself to start to break up with all these rules and all these lies that you've told yourself about who you need to be for other people. If you're raising young children, I am. It doesn't mean that I'm leaving them and setting them out to pasture. That's not what this means. It means when I'm cleaning the house, my son's cleaning the house. Why? Because we're a family. We work together and then we play together and we get to do things together, right? I'm not the maid. I don't do everything for him. When we're cooking, we cook together and then we eat together. Sometimes we don't. Because I'm also a 51-year-old woman, he's a 12-year-old boy. We have very different dietary needs and we eat at very different times. So it's understanding that there are no rules, right? There's no such thing as dinner time and that's when we connect. Do you know where that came from? That came from this whole paradigm of parents needing to work 9 to 5, right? They send their kids to school and then that's the only time they get to see their kids. So it's time to let go of all these structures that don't actually belong in human existence. And every single one of them are beliefs. Later, we'll get to the physical structures, but right now it's the structures that you hold in your mind that tell you who you need to be, how you need to make money, how you need to be happy, what your partner needs to do for you, what you need to do for your partner, how to find a partner, right? All of these things, they're rules. And you're either working towards them or protecting yourself from them. And right now, you need to come back, right? We're learning how to override this system, right? We're not using the system to break the system because that system is broken. It's not even broken. It was strategically designed to break humanity. And it did. It's accomplished it, right? We are filled with trauma and suffering as a result of what we choose to believe. It's that simple. And the crazy thing is, all we have to do is change what we believe. And it feels like you're climbing a mountain, but it's actually so much easier. And that's the whole point of this story of creation, is to give you one step, one layer of awareness at a time. So it's not overwhelming. So you can just make one change at a time, choose to see one small truth at a time. Some of them have been big, but they've prepared you. They did a whole bunch of little ones, and then bam, they'll lay down a big one. And then they'll do a couple more little ones, and then another big one. But it's strategically done to help you come to the place where your awareness is centrally focused on you, your potential, and you experiencing fulfillment. Because right now, you need to have an ultimate intention for your life. Okay? Every human, when you arrived here, okay, your soul had a mission for you to come into. And every single time, it has to do with your fulfillment. So I'm going to help you. If you want to look at the sacred prayer video, I don't know which one it is, but I will post a link to it in the comments underneath. Okay. But the sacred prayer video is super helpful to help you start communicating with your soul and just getting your brain to come around and work in alignment with who you are and who you're meant to be. But it's understanding that you, inside of the sacred prayer, okay, you want to hold the highest intention possible for you as a human in this life. But also, it's understanding that your soul is in this life too. You're not separate from your soul, you're together. And when you start acting like you and your soul are one, hence the word are one, right? Everyone coming together as one. It's not all together doing the same things. It's all together with our souls. And when we are all fulfilling our soul missions, we are evolving as one. We all impact the universe. We all feel that impact. We contribute to it, and we're participating in it. Exactly how humanity was created to exist. So set your intention in your sacred prayer that you experience fulfillment by allowing yourself to become who you're meant to be. Put that in there. Word it however you want. But if it doesn't feel good when you're saying it, if it doesn't raise your vibration, change your wording. Keep modifying it, right? Because that's what you are. You're an explorer. So you're going to modify based on the experience that you're having when you read it out loud and when you hear it. But it is about understanding that your fulfillment is your only goal. Because when you are experiencing fulfillment, your vibration is as strong, it's strong like the sun. And it impacts everyone around you. It lifts everyone up and not only encourages them to experience their own fulfillment, it inspires them to want to participate. Not because you said, wow, you should do this or you should do that. It's because they're in awe of the energy that you're putting out. Not because you're better than them, but because you're doing what you're meant to do. And they're like, that's what I want to do. They don't want to do what you do. They want to do what they're meant to do because they feel the vibration of what it is you're putting out there. That's the magic of being who you are. So your mission to really get comfortable looking at all of those parts of you, okay, that want to please other people. And you'll know them because you're going to be carrying guilt or shame or fear, any kind of discomfort that says, oh yeah, I got to do it because it's time to let those becauses go. And it's time to learn how to experience and focus entirely on what brings you joy and letting go of that. Well, that's selfish, because it's not selfish. It's understanding that the fulfillment of who you are, it brings massive impact to those around you, right? It's not the little details. It's not like you're going to ignore your children and, not feed them, and not take care of them. That's not what this is. This is understanding that they're part of your experience. They're meant to learn from you. That's why they chose you. They're not meant to go to school. They're meant to learn from you. not because you're sitting there teaching them a curriculum, because you're being who you are and they're learning from you. They're in that space and they're learning from the other humans that are in your space and in their life, because that's exactly what they need to know. And it's starting to allow yourself to trust who you are. It's time and you're ready. Let's do this. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.